The massive alien ship appeared over New York without warning. It hung in the air like a shining silver coin, its smooth surface reflecting the morning sun. Within hours, every TV channel and news website showed the same image: Earth's first contact with alien life. Captain James Walker stood at attention in the United Nations Emergency Chamber, his crisp military uniform a stark contrast to the flowing robes of the alien delegates. As Earth's chosen military representative, he watched the proceedings with keen interest. The room buzzed with nervous energy as world leaders gathered to meet the Galactic Council's representatives. High Counselor Rax, a tall being with silvery skin, stepped forward to address the assembly. His translator device hummed softly as he spoke. "We welcome Earth to the galactic community. Your species has shown remarkable progress in reaching the stars." Walker noticed the slight condescension in the alien's tone. It reminded him of how adults sometimes talk to children. However, Rax continued, "We must address your military capabilities." He waved his hand, and a hologram appeared, showing various human weapons. These projectile weapons, they are quite interesting historical artifacts. The other council members exchanged knowing looks. One of them, an aide named Brent, actually chuckled. The sound echoed through the chamber, making several human delegates shift uncomfortably in their seats. "With respect, High Counselor," Walker spoke up, his voice steady and firm. "Our weapons have served us well for centuries." Rax's expression showed what could only be described as pity. He raised his arm, and a beam of energy shot from a small device on his wrist, creating a glowing target on the far wall. "This is a basic personal defense weapon. It fires concentrated energy bolts capable of disabling any threat. No crude explosions, no primitive gunpowder, no metal projectiles." The council members nodded in approval. Another delegate, wearing ornate armor, stepped forward and activated a shimming energy shield. "Our defensive technology can stop any energy-based attack. This is the standard of modern warfare." Walker noticed something interesting. They kept saying energy-based. He filed that detail away for later. "As part of your provisional membership in the Galactic Council," Rax announced, "Earth must modernize its military. Your current weapons are, well, they belong in museums, not battlefields." The UN Secretary-General leaned forward. "And if we choose to keep our current defense systems, then we would have concerns about Earth's readiness to join the galactic community." Rax replied smoothly, "Surely you understand. We cannot have member worlds using outdated technology. It's for your own protection, of course." Walker cleared his throat. "We would be interested in learning about your energy weapons, High Counselor, but perhaps a demonstration of our current capabilities would help you understand our position better." Several council members laughed openly this time. Brent, the aide, spoke up, "Captain Walker, we've studied your weapons. Projectiles that require explosive force to launch. Metal bullets. These are relics of a primitive age." Walker remained calm, but his jaw tightened slightly. He'd seen that kind of arrogance before, usually right before someone learned a hard lesson. "We accept your offer of provisional membership," the Secretary-General announced, shooting Walker a warning look. "And we will consider your suggestions about our military equipment." As the meeting concluded, Walker overheard two council members talking quietly. "Can you believe they still use gunpowder? Actual explosions to launch projectiles. Like children playing with sticks," the other replied. "They'll learn." Walking back to his office at the Earth Defense Force headquarters, Walker smiled slightly. The aliens had revealed more than they intended. Their shields and defenses were all designed around energy weapons. They had dismissed physical projectiles entirely. He picked up his phone and dialed. "Major Richards, start preparing those weapon demonstrations we discussed, and make sure to include the full range. Everything from handguns to railguns." He paused, looking out his window at the alien ship still hovering over the city. "I think our new friends need a proper introduction to human ingenuity." The real question was, Had the Council become so focused on advancement that they'd forgotten the basics of warfare? If so, they were about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating primitive technology. The morning sun glinted off Major Tom Richards' shooting range badges as he stood before the gathered alien observers. Behind him, laid out on several tables, was Earth's arsenal. Everything from standard-issue pistols to advanced sniper rifles. The desert testing facility stretched out behind them, targets placed at various distances. "Welcome to the Earth Defense Force Weapons Testing Facility," Richards announced, noting how the aliens kept their distance from the weapons, as if they might bite. "Today, we'll demonstrate our current military capabilities." The alien delegation, led by Council member Dex, carried various scanning devices. They waved these instruments over the weapons, frowning at their readings. "Interesting," Dex muttered. "Our scanners barely register these as weapons at all. No energy signatures, no power sources." He turned to his colleagues. "Quite literally dead metal and chemicals." Richards picked up an M4 carbine. "This is one of our standard infantry weapons. Would you like to see it in action?" "If you must," Dex replied, his tone making it clear he considered this a waste of time. The other observers activated their protective energy shields, standard protocol for weapons demonstrations. Richards shouldered the rifle, aimed downrange, and fired a 3-round burst. The targets 300 meters away showed 3 perfect hits. The sound echoed across the desert, making several aliens jump. "How primitive," Dex said, though Richards noticed he was rubbing his ears. "Using explosive chemical reactions to launch metal projectiles. The noise alone is barbaric." Richards moved on to the heavy weapons. "This is our M2 Browning heavy machine gun. It's been in service for over a century." "A century?" One observer laughed. "We replace our weapon designs every 5 years with more advanced models." "Old doesn't mean ineffective," Richards replied, then opened fire. The .50 caliber rounds tore through the reinforced targets, the sound thundering across the range. This time, the aliens couldn't hide their startled reactions. "Wasteful," Dex declared. "Look at all the expelled cartridges. Our energy weapons are much more efficient." He raised his own weapon, a sleek silver device, and fired at a target. A beam of blue energy struck it, leaving a clean, burning hole. Richards noticed something interesting. The energy beam had taken several microseconds to reach its target. Bullets were much faster. The demonstration continued with increasingly powerful weapons. Each time, the aliens found something to criticize. The recoil, the limited ammunition, the maintenance requirements. But Richards saw Captain Walker, watching from the sidelines, smile slightly every time the alien shields flickered to life before each demonstration. They were testing something. The final was the newly developed railgun. As it charged up, the aliens finally showed interest. It was the first weapon that registered on their energy scanners. "Ah, now you're approaching modern technology," Dex said approvingly, though still crude compared to. The railgun fired. The hypersonic projectile crossed the range in an eye blink, obliterating the target and continuing through the reinforced backstop. The aliens fell silent. "Interesting," Walker said, speaking for the first time. "Your shields didn't activate." "What?" Dex checked his instruments. "We didn't detect any weapon signature until after it fired. Our defensive systems are designed to detect energy buildups, not simple physics," Richards suggested. "Sometimes the old ways work just fine." Later, after the aliens had left, Walker and Richards watched the cleanup crew replace the destroyed targets. "Did you see it?" Walker asked. Richards nodded. "Their shields never activated for the conventional weapons. They don't register kinetic projectiles as threats. Their entire defensive doctrine is built around energy weapons. And that railgun scared them," Walker added, "not because it was powerful, but because it bridged the gap between our technologies in a way they didn't expect." "Should we tell them about the naval guns, the ones that can fire shells the size of small cars?" Walker smiled. Let's save some surprises for later. I have a feeling we're going to need them. In orbit, aboard the Council ship, Dex was making his report. Their weapons are primitive, but he hesitated. There's something we're missing. None of our defensive systems recognize these weapons until after they fired. And that last device, the railgun. Continue monitoring. High Counselor Rax ordered. But make no changes to our defense protocols. They'll learn to use proper weapons eventually. If he noticed his aide nervously eyeing the report about the railgun's penetration power, he didn't mention it. The emergency alert flashed across every screen in Earth Defense Force headquarters. Captain Walker rushed into the command center, where Admiral Kate Stone was already reviewing the incoming data. New colony on Mars is under attack, she said without looking up. Pirates. They got past the Council's defense fleet like it wasn't even there. The main screen showed the situation. 3 sleek pirate ships, their hulls painted black and red, were firing energy weapons at the Mars colony's protective dome. The Council's patrol ships hung back, disabled, their once proud energy shields flickering uselessly. Council ships are reporting complete shield failure, an operator announced. The pirates have some new kind of shield-piercing technology. Walker watched the footage carefully. No, they don't. Look at their weapons. They're just using a different frequency. The Council's been using the same shield technology for so long, they never thought anyone would adapt. Admiral Stone nodded grimly. And now our people are paying the price for their complacency. She turned to Walker. The U.S. Thunder is ready for deployment. I know it's not fully tested in space combat, but it's the only ship we have with traditional naval guns modified for space warfare, Walker finished. He straightened his uniform. Give the order. We'll show these pirates what Earth weapons can do. The command center's main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. High Counselor Rax appeared, looking flustered. We strongly advise against Earth intervention, he said. Your primitive weapons will only embarrass you. Our reinforcements will arrive in 6 hours. The colony won't last 6 hours. Admiral Stone replied coolly. The Thunder is launching. This is not a request. Rax snapped. Your weapons are not certified for space combat. You will only. Admiral Stone cut the transmission. Captain Walker, you have your orders. Try not to embarrass our advanced friends too much. The U.S. Thunder was unlike any other ship in space. While other vessels were sleek and smooth, the Thunder bristled with traditional gun turrets, rail guns, and missile pods. Its hull was thick, armored with metal rather than energy shields. The crew called it the space battleship, a joke that was about to become very serious. Walker took his place on the bridge. Engine room, give me full power. Weapons, begin loading all guns. Let's show them what these museum pieces can do. As the Thunder approached Mars, the pirate ships turned to face it. Their leader's mocking transmission came through clearly. What's this? The primitives sent their own ship. The pirate captain laughed. Look at it. Actual metal guns, like something from a history book. Walker smiled. The pirates' scans would show no energy weapons, no threatening power signatures. Just like the Council, they'd assumed the Thunder was harmless. This is your only warning, Walker transmitted. Leave the colony or be destroyed. The response was predictable. Your weapons can't penetrate our shields. Watch how real space combat works. The pirate ships opened fire. Energy beams lanced out, splashing harmlessly against the Thunder's metal armor. No fancy shields, just thick steel and composite materials. They seemed confused. Walker's weapons officer reported with a grin. Their scans show their weapons are hitting us, but we're not using shields for them to overload. Let's end this quickly, Walker ordered. All guns, open fire. Show them how Earth fights. The Thunder's guns roared to life. In space, there was no sound, but the sight was unforgettable. Solid metal shells, accelerated to incredible speeds, streaked toward the pirate ships. Their energy shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been tissue paper. The first volley tore through the lead ship's engines. The second punched clean through their bridge. The third pirate vessel managed to turn away, but a spread of missiles, simple rockets with metal warheads, caught it before it could escape. In the Council's command center, Rax watched the battle in stunned silence. Beside him, Dex's hand shook as he prepared his report. "High Counselor," he said quietly, "I believe we may have made a serious mistake in our assessment of Earth's military capabilities." Rax didn't answer. He was watching the Thunder's guns rotate toward the next target, realizing too late that the galaxy's balance of power had just shifted dramatically. The U.S. Thunder floated in the darkness of space, its hull scarred from the pirates' energy weapons, but otherwise undamaged. Captain Walker studied the tactical display, showing a much larger problem. The main pirate fleet had arrived. 15 ships, his tactical officer reported, all bigger than the ones we just fought. Energy readings are off the charts. The pirate fleet's formation was impressive. Their ships, sleek and deadly, arranged themselves in a perfect attack pattern. Their leader's transmission came through on all channels. "I am Fleet Master Gray of the Free Space Coalition," the pirate commander announced. "You have destroyed 3 of my ships. Impressive for primitives. But now you face a real fleet." Walker noticed something interesting about their formation. The pirates had arranged their shields to overlap, creating an energy defense grid that would have been impenetrable to any energy weapon. "Sir," his weapons officer said, "they're powering up their main guns. Those are planet-killer class energy weapons." Walker pressed a button on his chair. "Engineering, how are our new magnetic accelerators doing?" "Running hot and ready, Captain. Shell magazines are fully loaded." The pirate fleet's weapons glowed with building energy. Fleet Master Gray transmitted again. "Your little demonstration is over. Surrender now, and we might let your colony survive." Walker smiled. "You know what's interesting?" he said to his bridge crew. "They still haven't figured out why their scanners can't detect our weapon systems properly. All those fancy energy shields," the tactical officer added, "and not a bit of simple armor plating between them." Walker opened a channel to the pirate fleet. "This is your final warning. Withdraw or be destroyed." The response was immediate laughter from multiple pirate ships. "You have 1 ship," Gray sneered. "We have 15. Our combined shields can withstand anything." "Weapons," Walker ordered. "Initiate firing sequence Alpha. Let's show them what a real broadside looks like." The Thunder's side lit up as every gun turret rotated into position. The magnetic accelerators hummed to life, loading shells the size of small cars into their chambers. "Energy weapons detected," a pirate called out. "No. Wait. These readings don't make sense." "Fire," Walker commanded. The Thunder's guns fired in perfect sequence. In space, there was no sound, but the sight was spectacular. Dozens of massive shells, accelerated to incredible speeds, crossed the space between ships in seconds. The pirates' overlapping shields, designed to stop energy weapons, didn't even register the incoming projectiles as threats until it was too late. The shells passed through their energy barriers like they weren't there. The first volley struck 3 ships simultaneously. Metal shells, moving at a significant fraction of light speed, simply punched through their hulls. No energy dispersion, no shield resistance, just basic physics at its finest. "Impossible." Gray's voice cracked with panic. "Shields at maximum. Return fire." The pirate fleet's energy weapons lashed out, their beams splashing harmlessly against the Thunder's thick armor. "Magnetic accelerators recharge," weapons reported. "Ready for second volley." "Target their engines," Walker ordered. "Let's make sure they can't run." The second barrage was even more devastating than the first. Ships that had never needed physical armor, relying solely on their energy shields, were torn apart by simple kinetic impacts. "This can't be happening," Gray screamed. "These are just projectiles, just pieces of metal." "Sometimes," Walker replied calmly, The old ways are the best ways. All guns fire at will. The space around Mars lit up with explosions as ship after ship discovered the fatal flaw in their defenses. The mighty pirate fleet, terror of the space lanes, was being systematically destroyed by technology they had dismissed as primitive. In the Council's observation chamber, Dex watched the battle with growing horror. "High Counselor," he said, "the humans, they're not just winning. They're revolutionizing space combat." Rax stood silently, watching the Thunder's guns claim another victim. Years of technological advancement, and they had all forgotten the most basic principle of warfare. If something can hit hard enough, no amount of energy shielding matters. The age of energy weapons supremacy was over. The galaxy was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating primitive technology. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Representatives from 100 worlds sat in stunned silence as they watched the battle footage from Mars. On the main display, the U.S. Thunder's guns flashed again and again, each shot proving centuries of military doctrine wrong. High Counselor Rax stood before the assembly, his silver skin notably paler than usual. "The Defense Committee has completed their analysis of the human victory over the pirate fleet," he announced. His voice echoed in the silent chamber. 15 ships, someone whispered. They destroyed 15 advanced ships with one vessel. Dex stepped forward with the technical report. His hand shook slightly as he activated the holographic display. "Our initial dismissal of human weapons was a critical error. We have identified 3 major oversights in our defensive technologies." The display showed a simulation of the battle. First, our energy shields are designed to detect and stop energy-based attacks. They cannot react quickly enough to stop physical projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. It's like, he searched for a simple comparison, like trying to use a light filter to stop a thrown rock. In the upper gallery, Captain Walker watched with Admiral Stone. They had been invited as military observers, but everyone knew they were really there to make the Council nervous. Second, Dex continued, "Our sensors are calibrated for energy weapons. The human ship's guns didn't register as weapons at all until they were actually fired. By then, it was too late for any defensive measures. Can't we just modify our shields?" A council member asked desperately. "That brings us to the third point," Dex replied. "Our ships have no physical armor. We've relied entirely on energy shields for so long that we've forgotten about basic physical protection. The human ship's armor allowed it to survive direct hits from energy weapons while our ships." He gestured at footage of shells tearing through pirate vessels like paper. Walker noticed several council members shifting uncomfortably in their seats. They all commanded fleets of ships with the same vulnerabilities. "The humans have maintained a military doctrine that we considered obsolete," Rax admitted. "In doing so, they accidentally created the perfect counter to our technology. Their weapons are invisible to our sensors, immune to our shields, and absolutely devastating in their effectiveness." Admiral Stone leaned over to Walker. "They're finally getting it," she whispered. "Took them long enough." A council member from a militant species stood up. "Surely we can adapt. Create new defenses." "Of course," Dex replied. "But it will take time. Years, maybe decades, to redesign our entire defensive strategy. And until then," he left the implications hanging. The chamber erupted in nervous discussion. Centuries of assumed military superiority had just been proven wrong by what they had called primitive weapons. "There's more," Rax continued, raising his voice above the noise. "The humans have provided details of their other military capabilities. Their aircraft carriers, their missile submarines, their artillery. Each one represents a similar blind spot in our defenses." Walker watched as the council members received data packets about Earth's military capabilities. Their expressions ranged from shock to outright fear as they realized just how vulnerable they were. "We have received reports," Dex added quietly, "that several pirate groups are already attempting to acquire human weapons. The balance of power is shifting. In the ensuing chaos of questions and demands, Walker felt a small sense of satisfaction. Humanity had been underestimated, dismissed as primitive, and now, Captain Walker, Rax called out, surprising everyone. The Council would like to formally request Earth's assistance in developing new defensive technologies. We find ourselves in need of your expertise. Walker stood up. Of course, High Counselor. We'd be happy to help. After all, he smiled slightly. Sometimes the old ways are worth keeping around. As the council session dissolved into frantic planning and debate, Admiral Stone checked her tablet. New reports coming in, she whispered. Every major power in the galaxy is scrambling to acquire physical armor and projectile weapons. The arms dealers are having a field day. Good, Walker replied. Maybe next time they won't laugh at someone's technology before understanding it. The galaxy was changing. The age of energy weapons supremacy was over, replaced by a new respect for humanity's primitive but deadly effective approach to warfare. Emergency sirens blared across Earth's orbital defense stations. Captain Walker stared at the tactical display in Earth Defense Force headquarters, his expression grim. Nearly 50 pirate ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They're not even trying to hide, Admiral Stone noted. This is a revenge attack. The pirate fleet was the largest ever seen, a desperate alliance of every major criminal faction in the galaxy. Their ships had been modified, hastily fitted with crude physical armor over their energy shields. They think they've adapted to our weapons, Major Richards said, entering the command center. But they don't understand the basics of armor design. Those plates they bolted on will just create more shrapnel when hit. The pirate's transmission cut through all channels. The scared face of Fleet Master Gray filled the screens. He had survived the Mars battle, and his eyes burned with hatred. You primitives humiliated us, he snarled. Now we'll show you what happens when we take you seriously. All ships are equipped with physical armor. Your tricks won't work twice. Walker turned to Admiral Stone. The Thunder is ready, but we'll need more than one ship this time. He paused, allowing himself a small smile. Perhaps it's time to show them the rest of the fleet. Stone nodded and pressed a button on her command console. All ships, this is Admiral Stone. Operation Reminder is now in effect. Show them what Earth can do. From hidden bunkers across Earth's moon, massive doors slid open. The pirate fleet's sensors lit up as ship after ship emerged, 20 destroyers, each built like the Thunder, bristling with railguns and conventional weapons. Impossible. Gray's voice cracked. The Council said you only had one ship. The Council, Walker replied calmly, only saw what we showed them. All ships, battle formations. Let's teach them about Earth's real military capabilities. The Earth fleet moved with practiced precision, forming into what naval historians would have recognized as a classic line of battle. On the ground, Major Richards led his forces into defensive positions around key installations. The pirates struck first, their energy weapons blazing across space. Their new armor did help. Their ships didn't immediately disintegrate under Earth's return fire, but that only prolonged the inevitable. All ships, fire at will, Admiral Stone commanded. Show them what a real fleet can do. Space lit up with the flash of human guns. Rails guns accelerated metal slugs to devastating speeds. Traditional naval guns, modified for space warfare, sent massive shells flying with deadly accuracy. Missile batteries launched swarms of conventional warheads. The pirates' hastily added armor crumpled under the onslaught. Their energy shields, still useless against physical projectiles, flickered and died. Ship after ship discovered that merely copying Earth's technology without understanding its principles was a fatal mistake. Ground forces report multiple landing attempts, Richards called out. They're trying to attack surface installations. Show them why that's a bad idea, Walker replied. On the ground, Earth's armies met the pirates with tanks, artillery, and traditional firearms. The pirates, used to energy weapon combat, found themselves facing weapons their sensors couldn't properly track and their personal shields couldn't stop. "This is impossible," Gray screamed over the command channel. "We have superior technology. We have advanced weapons." "No," Walker replied as another volley of Earth ships fired. "You have advanced technology. We have weapons that work." The battle lasted less than an hour. The pirate fleet, for all its numbers and desperate modifications, never stood a chance. Their copied armor was inefficient, their tactics were based on energy weapon combat, and their understanding of physical combat was centuries out of date. In the Council observation chamber, Dex watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. "They're not just beating them," he reported to Rax. "They're proving that our entire approach to warfare is fundamentally flawed." The final shots were fired by the Thunder itself, targeting Gray's flagship. The pirate leader's last transmission was cut short as human shells demonstrated once again why sometimes the old ways were the most effective. "Signal from the remaining pirate ships," a communication officer announced. "They're surrendering." Walker looked at the tactical display, now mostly clear of enemy signals. "Send to all Earth forces. Well done. The solar system is secure." In the aftermath, as damage reports came in, one fact became clear: Earth's primitive military had just become the most feared force in the galaxy. 6 months after the Great Pirate Battle, Captain Walker stood in the newly rebuilt Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. The room had changed significantly. Where once there had been only sleek energy technology, now solid metal railings and physical barriers complemented the energy shields. Even the council members' ceremonial robes had been replaced with more practical attire. High Counselor Rax, looking humbler than ever before, addressed the assembly. "Today marks a historic occasion. Earth is being granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with a permanent seat on the Defense Committee." The chamber, once filled with dismissive aliens, now applauded respectfully. Walker noticed several representatives wearing Earth-made sidearms, physical pistols alongside their energy weapons. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Furthermore, Rax continued, "Captain Walker will head our new Combined Defense Initiative, teaching other worlds how to integrate traditional weapons with energy technology." Walker stepped up to the podium. The chamber's security systems tracked him with both energy scanners and simple motion detectors, another change brought by Earth's influence. "Thank you, High Counselor," he said. "In the past 6 months, we've seen remarkable progress. 17 worlds have already established their own hybrid defense forces, combining energy and physical weapons. Piracy is down 80% across the galaxy." Major Richards, now Colonel Richards, entered with his team of instructors. They had spent months teaching alien forces how to use physical weapons effectively. "The first graduating class of the Combined Arms Academy is ready," he reported. 20 species learning to work together, using both old and new technology. Admiral Stone's image appeared on the main display, transmitted from her new office at the Galactic Defense Command. "The joint fleet exercises are showing promising results. The new hybrid ships, combining human armor and weapons with alien energy technology, are more effective than either technology alone." In the galleries, Dex watched with intense interest. His role had changed from dismissive observer to eager student of human military science. "We were blind," he said to a fellow council member. "We thought advancement only meant moving forward, never realizing that sometimes the old ways had value." Walker activated the main display, showing images from across the galaxy. Shipyards building vessels with both energy weapons and traditional guns. Training grounds where alien soldiers learned to use physical firearms alongside energy rifles. Defense stations equipped with both shield generators and thick armor plating. "The pirates taught us all something important," Walker continued. "They proved that copying technology without understanding its principles is useless. That's why Earth is not just sharing our weapons, but our knowledge, our history, our understanding of basic combat principles that remain true regardless of technology level." High Counselor Rax nodded in agreement. "The age of looking down on primitive technology is over. Earth has taught us that true advancement means understanding and respecting all forms of combat, not just the newest ones. The Chamber's mood was different from that first meeting, months ago. No more mockery, no more condescension. Just professional respect between equals. And to think, Richards whispered to Walker, "They used to laugh at our guns." Walker smiled. The best lessons are often learned the hard way, but at least they did learn. As the session concluded, representatives from various worlds approached Walker with questions about establishing their own hybrid defense forces. The galaxy had changed. Earth's primitive weapons had revolutionized warfare, creating a new balance of power based on mutual respect and understanding. In Earth orbit, the U.S. Thunder patrolled alongside new hybrid vessels. Its guns, once mocked as museum pieces, now represented the cutting edge of military doctrine. Energy weapons and physical projectiles working together, each covering the other's weaknesses. Message from Galactic Command. A communication officer reported to Walker. New pirate activity detected in the Outer Rim. They're requesting Earth forces to lead the response. Walker nodded. The galaxy had learned to respect Earth's military might, but more importantly, they had learned to respect the wisdom behind it. Sometimes, the old ways weren't just tradition. They were the foundation upon which all progress was built. The age of mockery was over. The age of understanding had begun.